Mayor Bob, welcome back to Murder Monday here at WSAU.
Can you believe it's been a month?
I didn't believe it when I looked at the calendar.
Wow.
It's
Time flies when you're having fun.
Absolutely, he's come around pretty quick sometimes.
Yes,
But yeah, we've certainly had plenty to think about, especially from last week in the city. Maybe taking a step forward, or maybe getting some new ideas regarding the Wausau Center Mall, specifically the Sears building, which is the portion of the mall that the city not only owns the land below it, but the building on top of it. Right.
And we got a lot of things going on. Hello, Wausau. There are a lot of things going on, and when Locre Company kind of made this offer, when we brought it forward for economic development, and there's some things that I think personally, it's called negotiating, that I think there's some things, they made an offer to us for $700,000 with some, what's the word I'm looking for, some negotiating type of things that they want. And, that was brought before economic development last week, and it was a pretty good, healthy discussion, because the building is an asset, and when we purchased it, we had a plan, everything was pretty well set to go. Some things happened with the mall. Wasn't really on our end, but between the theater chain and the mall. But it gave us a say as far as what could be happening in that area. And we do own the building. So when Locre Development came forward and made this offer, it's kind of like, okay, now obviously I still want to have some type of say in it, but I also look at it where, maybe it's time for private investment to do something different with it than what we could. Working with the mall owners has been disappointing, frankly. And we've gone to help them out, not in a huge monetary type of way, but different things as far as hiring different consultants to try to do different things in the mall, be it housing, be it restaurants, something type of draw, if you will. The retail setting that it used to be, let's face it, that's gone. It's a dinosaur. It's an Amazon world today. It's still a viable building, as we talked about before, and it could be used for like a corporate structure or something like that along those lines. But anyways, in regards for Sears, the city does own it, and when this offer had been made to us, all right, I wanted to make sure it was presented before the Economic Development Committee, and it was a pretty good discussion and debate as far as how to handle it. There are some things that I would agree with them on, that it needs to go back for some better negotiations. What Locre wanted to do was take 270 days, 9 months to try to develop it. I kind of like to think 180 days in 6 months. We'll see what happens. The good news is there's interest in that. We do have another potential interested person in that, and we might be talking with them too. So there is some movement going on with the mall. We'll see what happens, and Sears in particular.
Absolutely. And the thing that really struck me when I found out that this group, they came before the city and said, well, we really don't have a solid plan right now. To me, that immediately raised a red flag because of what the city had just gone through in regards to the River Life development. And obviously, the old saying goes, you're a military guy yourself, not preparing a plan is preparing to fail. And
correct. And that was one of the things that, say, for example, Mrs. Rasmussen, our council president, had brought up, that, this is something that's been brought forward that we don't know what the final outcome would be, and we want to have more of a say in that. And she's right. And, obviously we want to be prepared, that type of thing, hence the reason why it's going back and we're going to renegotiate. Basically, though, it's out there that, yes, we are in negotiations and talks with a private developer for them to do whatever they're going to do, and the city would benefit with the funds. Also, there might be some city involvement with that in the future. That has to be worked out, but it's just part of that progress that we're trying to get things changed and done over there. It's been a longer process than we would have liked, but the thing is, we are trying, and I think that's been shown. We'll see what happens, but we're going to do it right like we always do.
Absolutely. And does this change the thinking process then, or what could happen with the rest of the mall? Because of course we still have the study out there that we haven't seen the results of from the consultants in Michigan regarding their thoughts about it.
Well, actually we have seen that, and I know there's been a follow-up, but ever since that time, I remember like last fall, and it was exciting, it was cool, it was really neat designs, and it's something that's feasible. However, the city did pay for the consultants to bring this forward to try to help the mall out, and hey, mall, do something, okay? And, you know, I was kind of a killjoy because after we made the presentation and everybody was excited and everything, I said, you know, folks, this is not on the city. While there might be a limited partnership, this is more of a private investment. And we really haven't had a lot of help from the mall owners for whatever reason, which has been disappointing. Nobody can say that we haven't been trying, and we will continue to try. We'll see what happens. But yes, by doing this, we have more of a say. Obviously, we own the land underneath it. We do own Sears, and we own the parking structure, so we definitely have a say in it. But the assets that we have, respectfully, we're not just going to give it away. So that's part of the negotiating process. The good news is there's people that are interested in that and what they're going to do. And when coming back to economic development for the month of May, which it'll be in a month, kind of hard to believe, those renegotiations will be shown, and we'll see what the Economic Development Committee thinks of it.
One other thing that was discussed pretty intensely, from what I understand, at the meeting on Tuesday.
I was there.
Regards, well, you were there, yes. We think anyway.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm going a million miles an hour, but yes, I was there. So I go to all meetings. So
was the Ponderosa Motel. This is a very interesting, piece of property right there on the southern edge of the city.
Unique and not in a good way. So
of Grand Avenue. Every city has these buildings like this that just have those backstories, and the city now. What's the discussions that's happening with this property?
Well, this has been an ongoing thing for years, even before I was mayor. I mean, that's how long it's been kind of sitting there being dilapidated and burned and whatever. And because it fell behind so badly in taxes, that's where the county takes over. The city doesn't get that money. The county takes over to try to collect. And the Community Development Authority, an off-branch from the city of Wausau, might be interested in possibly doing something with that with their own funding. That's a separate entity. I was surprised a little bit because I know there's some alderpersons, particularly in that area, that want it gone. They've heard from residents. There's some other alderpersons, though, that didn't feel that way, that, why should this be on the city to pay to the county? And a kind of a go back and forth. And we have good relations with the county and will continue to do so. But I really thought that might have been decided at economic development last week, that, okay, we're going to move forward with it, which is right around $73,000 to purchase it. I think the raising cost would be different. And it's been such a saga for at least, it's got to be like 6 or 7 years. And we've had raise and orders as far as from our inspections department. However, there does come a point where the county takes over. That's where we're at right now. It's kind of a wait and see, okay, what are we going to do with that building? Because there's some alderpersons that think the city should just have nothing to do with it. Our Community Development Authority is looking at it for a possibility of doing something with it, including tearing it down. This all has yet to be determined. This just kind of sprung up last week.
Mm-hmm, absolutely, and it's a parcel of land that's kind of right down there by the Wausau, Schofield. I guess you could almost say the Tri-City.
There's a couple
area.
buildings down in that area that could use some refurbishing, if not being torn down.
Mm-hmm.
But again, a lot of these buildings are owned privately, and the city isn't going to go in there and purchase them, that type of thing. That way, it's still on the tax base, tax rolls, that type of thing. And then also, the private sector needs to step up and do something more, if you want to call it that. Everything cannot always be on the city. The city will always certainly try to partner with somebody and try to make something happen, but it can't be all incumbent and reliant upon us. There's got to be a lot of private investment, and we'll see what happens. The Ponderosa is a unique situation that it's just been a saga, for lack of a better way of putting it. But like everything else that happens, we get through it, it gets taken care of, and it gets done in the right way. Sometimes it just takes a little more time than what we'd like.
And you kind of just answered my next question regarding that. In that area of town, there's a really good mix of businesses. Yep. Is there anything, in particular that you'd maybe like to see go in there? Because again, this isn't your decision, and you just said it, it's not all on the city, but is that one of those areas that kind of benefits from a wide variety of businesses?
I would think any type of area, but that in particular, because Grand Avenue is a major thoroughfare. It's one of the busiest streets in the state. As far as what would go in there, boy, that's a good question. Maybe another hotel or something like that. I know Some folks would like to turn that into like housing for those less fortunate, that type of thing. There's a lot of different avenues and options. Personally, I think they should raise it. Its time has come and gone. It has been burned, but you don't know what's in there. As far as different environmental concerns and stuff like that. Costs like that always add up, and it gets expensive. So I can understand kind of some of the hesitancy on some of the older persons as far as not moving forward, purchasing and going after that property. Ultimately, though, that decision is up to them. And I'm hoping it's sooner rather than later, because I think it's an eyesore. I think if it was cleared, maybe there would be some more private interest or something like that, development going on in that area. We'll see what happens.
Absolutely. And of course, that's part of the big puzzle that you have to put together here on a daily basis in the city, for better or worse, right?
It's, every day is always an adventure, and most of them are pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely.
You gotta love what you're doing. We don't do it for the money or the appreciation. You do it because you want to make your community better. And things are getting better. Now, stuff like that, purposely, almost aggressively, we try to tackle those issues. And I know we're not going to make everybody happy and satisfied, but we're going to keep trying.
Absolutely. It sounds a lot like the broadcasting industry as well.
I did that for a while too, many years ago.
You certainly did.
Fun job. Doesn't pay a lot, but
Well,
it's a labor of love.
Absolutely. And one more before we let you go. We can't with the seasons changing and things like that, we can't not leave an April Mayor's Monday without talking about some of the great stuff, some of the great outdoor activities that are going to be coming up here in the city over the next 3 months or so.
Summer's coming, and I can't
right
wait.
there.
I think everybody, it's like the newsletter will be coming out here this week, the city newsletter. I think everybody respectfully is tired of winter. I know going into the end of January, we were excited.
Mm-hmm.
We're saving all this money for snow removal. And I think I said this last month, I can't say enough about our Department of Public Works crew. They are understaffed, and what they did was magnificent. Now, I do know that I have a lot of potholes, that type of thing, which are being addressed, but remember, people, it's still cold.
Mm-hmm.
You can't give it the proper patch job that you normally would. The temperature's got to get hotter. So for a lot of potholes, and I invite you to call the Mayor's Pothole Hotline. It's something we started in January, and boy, has it been successful. But in all seriousness, that's just another outreach or another way for residents to get a hold of us to let us know what's happening. This has been an unbelievable winter. Fortunately, it's over with. We got through March okay. We were doing fine budget-wise. It's kind of tough after February, but we got through March okay. We're going in the second week of April right now. I do remember last April where we had 3 snow emergencies. So say a little prayer, if you will, that it doesn't happen. But remember, too, technically we still have to also deal with November and December for the snow removal budget for this year. But again, like everything else, no matter what happens, we always get through it and we'll move forward. One other thing, too, I want to add. Friday, April 26th, because I won't see you beforehand, it will be my 3rd State of the City. This is something that I have taken on. It has not been done before I came into office. It's a yearly update as far as how things are going in the city, including some challenges that we're facing. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but there is a lot of good positive things happen. I have an enthusiasm for the city, and I really see a lot of good things happening for the future. But it's just another outreach for residents to hear what's going on. It will be on Friday morning at 9 o'clock, April 26th. The public is welcome. And it's going to be a good message because there's a lot of good positive things happening. But we got some challenges too, like any other city. The good news is a lot of problems that we've been working on are getting better. And we're just going to keep going that way.
We'll look forward to seeing what the State of the City brings here later this month then, and we'll look forward to getting outside again in the next couple of months as well, and let some of that cabin fever out.
Yeah, I know a lot of people have it, including, I'm usually at work all the time, but yeah, I can kind of understand how some folks feel. But the warm weather is coming, so you got to look at it. That's one of those things about Wisconsin. Baseball is going to be starting up, and just the warm temperatures and all those outdoor activities. We're really blessed as far as where we live, and I think most people realize that.
All right. Well, we appreciate the time as always. We'll look forward to next month's chat.
Thank you for having me. Take care. Good luck, Wausau.